Hi, welcome to this video on finding the highest common factor and lowest common multiple using prime factor decomposition. If you want to pause the video right now and take down these 3 notes, and once you've done that, we can then continue with the video and you can focus on the maths. Right, so I'm assuming you've done that, we're going to continue with this. Okay, so prime factor decomposition is basically breaking down a number into prime numbers that are divisible into this number, that are factors of any number. So in order to do this, you do need to know your prime numbers. So if I just drop the list down here, 2, 5, let's see, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, and so on and so on. It is very important that you know them, all right? Now, prime factor decomposition doesn't often use some of the higher primes, but you might as well know all your primes up to at least 50, as they do come up quite a lot. And to be honest, prime numbers are just cool to know. All right, so assuming that you know your prime numbers, keep an eye out for them. What we're going to do is we're going to break these numbers down into the prime numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up into 5 and 10. Okay? And the reason for this is 5 times 10 is 50. And if the number is prime, I'm going to circle it. 10 is obviously not prime, but I can split 10 up into 5 times 2, and both 5 and 2 are prime. This is called prime factor decomposition. In other words, I'm breaking it up into its prime factor. And I'm going to use this in a moment to work out the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor of 50 and 70. If I do the same thing here, if I split this up into 70 and 10, I can then break 10 up into 2 and 5, and all of these numbers here are now prime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram. Okay, a Venn diagram is simply 2 circles which overlap. So the characteristics of this circle and the characteristics of this circle, in the middle of it, they are common. And when we apply this in maths, it means that the numbers in this circle and the numbers in this circle, where they overlap, those are the common factors. So if I put these in here, I've got 5, and this 5 and this 5 are common. So I'm going to put them in the middle here. I'll put them in red so we can keep track of them. All right? So that one and that one are in the middle. This one and this one are also in the middle because they are common there. And I'll just throw in this last 7 there. So we've got 5, 5 and 2, 5, 5 and 2, 7, 2 and 5, 7, 2 and 5. Now what often happens, and where people make a mistake, is they end up putting in 2 5s and 2 2s, because obviously I've got 2 5s there and 2 2s there. But that mistake can be easily rectified if you simply just cover up one of these. You can see, well, in this circle I have to have a 5, a 5 and a 2. And in this circle I have to have a 5, a 2 and a 7. 5, 2, and 7. Okay, so double check yourself after you've done this. Now from here, I can work out my highest common factor, my lowest common multiple. Namely, the numbers in the middle here, if I multiply them together, 5 times 2, I actually end up with 10. And 10 is my highest common factor. That is the largest number that is common, or sorry, the largest factor that is common to both 50 and 70. And what's the biggest number that divides into 50 and 70? And the answer to that is 10. If I wanted to find out my lowest common multiple, in other words, the lowest number that features in both the 50 and the 70 times table, what I would do is I would simply multiply all of these together. Okay, so my lowest common multiple is going to be 5 times 5 times 2 times 7. Well, 5 times 5 times 2 is 50, and 50 times 7 is 350. Okay, so 350 is the lowest number that features in both the 50 and the 70 times table. Right, so if I just erase this, and you can see we're going to do perhaps a bit more of a challenging one. 50 and 70, you might have been able to have done that in your head, or simply by repeating out the 50 times table, the 70 times table, or working out the factors of them and pairing them. So I'm going to do a bit more of a challenging one. All right. The one we're going to work with here is going to be 24 and 42. So I want to find the lowest common multiple of 24 and 42, and then also want to find the highest common factor of these numbers. Okay, now that is not immediately obvious, so using prime factor decomposition will certainly be of help. All right, so 24, I'm going to break that into 12 and 2. 2 is prime. 12 I can break down here into 4 and 3. 3 is prime, and 4 becomes 2 and 2. And I just keep going. Now, obviously, I could technically keep going and make that 2 and 1, and then 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, but we don't usually count 2 and 1 as when we do our prime factor decomposition, because basically it's endless. As soon as we get to our prime factors, as soon as we get to our prime factors, we stop. Right, so 42 here, I can split into 2 and 21. 2 is prime. 21 I can split into 3 and 7. And there, that's relatively simple, that's where it stops. So now I'm going to do my Venn diagram again. Here we go, in blue, put in 24s. And again, in the middle, I'm going to put all of my common numbers in red. So we've got 2 and 2, so they go in the middle. And I've got a 3 and a 3, and they go in the middle there. Right, so let's fill in the rest. We've got 2 and 2 in here. And on the other side, we've just got a lonely 7 sitting there. And just to check myself, if I cover that one up, I should have 2, 2, 2 and 3, 2, 2, 2 and 3. And if I cover this side up, I've got 2, 3 and 7, 2, 3 and 7. All right, and once again, if I want to find my highest common factor, that's going to be 2 times 3, and that is 6. Okay, so that is my highest common factor. All right, so my highest common factor is simply the largest number that goes into both 24 and 42 without a remainder. And to find my lowest common multiple, I multiply all of these together. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. Well, I know 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 is 24, and 24 times 7 is going to give me 168. Okay, if you couldn't do that in your head, like I couldn't, you could have used a calculator. It's totally fine. So 168 in this case is my lowest common multiple, which is the lowest number that will feature in both the 24 and the 42 times table. All right, that's it for highest common factor and lowest common multiple. If you want a few more exercises or perhaps a bit more help, have a look on Khan Academy, or perhaps have a look on YouTube at some other great videos there. All right, but that's it for me. Cheers.